So today we're going to be talking about bookkeeping, the importance of bookkeeping, budgeting, and everybody's favorite topic, taxes. And this is just going to be a brief overview because this information can get really thick and bore you. And I don't want to do that. I just want to present you with information that's out there for you to research and ask questions later. So we'll be discussing bookkeeping, budgeting, taxes, and tax preparation. So a little bit about my background. I've worked with many different industry sectors, artists, restaurants, retail. I have over 4.5 years of bookkeeping experience. And recently I was just hired as the bookkeeper for a Dallas-based CPA firm that specializes in entrepreneurs, where I help set up their QuickBooks files, making sure that their chart of accounts are correct, educating them on how to use QuickBooks and the importance of proper bookkeeping, and helping maintain the quality of their books with all of their clients. So it's a really great company. You should check them out. They really, all of them are entrepreneurs themselves, and they really want to help the entrepreneur in Texas. So check them out. So, what is bookkeeping? Bookkeeping is the beginning of the accounting process where you make sure that all of your tax-deductible expenses are accounted for by looking at your personal and business financial information in the form of bank and credit card statements, or even just cash receipts as well. This is really important for you to track all of this so you can get the most out of your tax return, or make sure you're not paying in too much. And in the end, actually, it will help you produce a budget. And we're going to go back to the importance of budgeting, but we're going to now focus on the importance of bookkeeping. So it's important to start with clean books. And I can't stress that enough, because it's not a matter of if it becomes a problem, it's a matter of when it becomes a problem if you're not keeping proper financial records. The better financial records that you keep, you can run reports on the financial analysis of what you're doing to see if it's profitable or not, see where you can trim excess expenses. It will help you track your tax obligations, so you make sure that you're not falling behind on your taxes, and you won't go to jail. It makes budgeting and reporting really, really easy, because you're just entering in all this information, or an app's entering in this information, and you can run these reports and see truly where you stand with your financials. And it also makes business planning very easy. And if you do get audited, it's required by law to produce your financial statements. So if you do all this work, I know it seems like a lot of work, but it's truly not. Once you create a system to do it, you will gain so many benefits to help your business. And I know most of us here will be starting businesses, if not already. So what is a budget? Can anybody give me a quick definition of what a budget is? Volunteer.
No pressure, you're being recorded. So.
Anybody? Juliana?
What you're planning to spend?
Yeah. So basically, it's an estimate of income and expenditures for a set period of time. There are two different basic budgets. One is a static budget, where the dollar amounts remain the same over the life of the budget that you've set. And then there's a flexible, which I'm not sure why, the E, whatever. This is where you set percentages of your budget, and the percentages stay the same, but the overall volume of money will change depending on specific things. Yes?
Is that similar to like fixed and variable costs, or is that totally different?
It's similar, but this is in the constraint of a budget.
Oh.
So both types of budgets are great for management, but a static budget evaluates the effectiveness of the original budgeting process, while the flexible provides a deeper insight into how your business is doing. So why would you want a budget? You need to budget, so it allows you to create a plan on how you're going to earn enough money to make what you need to survive and get enough money to get what you want in life. It also is a great strategy to get you out of debt, save for the future, get the things that you want, plan for emergencies, which is really important, we'll come back to that, and retirement. Most of us probably haven't thought about that yet, but it's very important to think about that early and start planning for it now. So did you know that only 39% of Americans have enough money to cover a $1,000 emergency? That is a huge problem. And I know we're all students and we're all kind of living, day by day, but when you get out there, you really gotta plan for emergencies because they will happen. So truly, you have to know your numbers, and ideally, you should save enough money for about 3 months worth of basic living needs, and that includes rent, food, utilities, credit card and loan payments, car payments, insurance payments, or even health insurance. So how many of you know exactly how much money you need to survive for 1 month? That's great. It's great. But all of you should be raising your hands, because that's very important. If you don't know that number, it could cause issues for you in the future. So budgeting also can be an economic driving force. So if you know your basic needs, your saving goals, you can relate that into your earning goals. So again, know your numbers. You need to inform your earning goals, and you can put this put the financial numbers into a non-monetary meaning. So how many students do you need to teach? How many gigs do you need to get? How many shifts at Starbucks do you need to work just to get by? I mean, we've all done it, we're all doing it. So you just really need to know your numbers and relate it into everyday things. So which budget should you try first? If you're new to budgeting, which budget do you think you should try first?
Static.
Static. Why should you try static?
Because it's unchanging.
Right, and you can really evaluate how you're spending your money and if it's working for you. So now, I know this seems like it is a huge undertaking, but there are incredible apps out there that can help you. Mint is a very well-known app. It has great functionality. It's a little bit buggy, but it's very easy to use. It syncs with your bank feeds, and it sort of evaluates where you're spending your money for you and gives you like a pie chart and a breakdown. It's great if you're new to budgeting and you just want to test the waters. There's another app that is called Wally. I think it's okay, but the best app that I've found out there and the best service is You Need a Budget. And You Need a Budget is great because it sort of takes the bookkeeping process, which happens after the transactions have occurred, and flips it around where you're really planning out all your expenses before they happen. So let's just see their 1-minute explanation about what they're about.
Tired of stressing about money? Of course you are. You need a budget. And you're in luck, that's all we do. In fact, it's so simple, we can tell you how it works in 68 seconds. And we already used 8. Make that 10. Okay, here's how it works. You'll start by deciding what's most important to you. Good stuff. See, budgeting isn't so bad. No one should tell you what to spend your money on. Only you know what matters most. But your budget will keep you and your money crazy focused on your goals. Every time you get paid, before you spend a dime, you'll give every dollar a job. Ta-da! You have a budget. Now whenever you spend money, there's no guessing, no guilt. You plan for this. And when your phone dies, you plan for that too. And by plan, we mean save. Money in the bank. But you don't have a crystal ball. There will be surprises. No worries, things change and your budget can too. No more counting down the days until your next paycheck. But when it comes, you guessed it, you're in the driver's seat. Give those dollars jobs. On average, new budgeters save $200 in their first month, and your first 34 days are free. You don't have to be a math genius to know that's a win. So just sign up. You have nothing to lose, except all that stress.
So it's a really great application, and I think their pricing is around, after that promotional period, it's around $6.99 a month, and it's completely affordable, and it will truly help you. I've used it, it's great. It does require a bit of an initial setup because you have to know where you're spending your money and enter in all that stuff. But once you get it set up, it's fantastic. So more on the talk of applications. There are bookkeeping applications, and there are two that are really well known that are meant for musicians. Music teacher helper and music studio are great. They help you with invoicing, scheduling, and getting information to your students. However, their functionality is lacking in that you have to manually enter in all your expenses to generate a report. There are accounting softwares out there like QuickBooks that will integrate, similar to Mint, with your bank feeds and just pull that information and you can classify it. I suggest all of you today to go home and sign up for a free version or the promotional version of QuickBooks Self-Employed. I think you get a month free or something like that, or it's $5. You can check out the promotion, that's always changing. But it's fantastic, and it will help you next year when you file your taxes. So we'll get to that later on, but go home and check that out. So the next problem, taxes. So most musicians will file a 1040 Schedule C tax return. Does anybody know what that means?
Is that the name of the self-employed where you pay the quarterly taxes?
That is the name of, yes.
Or,
Yes, exactly. So in your 1040C, it will have your income from your W-2 and your 1099. So your W-2 is like if you're employed by the Dallas Symphony, you'll get a W-2 because you're an employee. If you work at as a teacher in a district and the district actually pays you a portion of money, they'll give you a 1099. And you report that all on your 1040C. And what's great about QuickBooks is that you can track all of your expenditures, and especially with QuickBooks Self-Employed, you can track your mileage. QuickBooks has another app where you can actually turn it on and it tracks your car, like your GPS location, and it tabulates all of your miles that are tax deductible. And with QuickBooks Self-Employed, it easily feeds into TurboTax, and they range. This is the system that will help you file your taxes at the end of the year, or when tax season is due. And they range from $0 to $119 to file your taxes through TurboTax. And I highly recommend TurboTax because it's super easy to use. And don't be afraid to do it yourself. All of you have learned how to read music, play an instrument, and produce art. Doing taxes might seem really hard and difficult, but it's really not. Especially with TurboTax, because they just ask you the questions. Did you earn money doing this year? Do you own a house? No. You just go through the list of questions very easy, and at the end, it spits out your tax return. But you have to keep good records in order to do that. So again, know yourself, know your numbers. If you're self-employed and receive a 1099, try to make your estimated quarterly payments. Does everybody know what that means? Who's filed the tax return? So do you remember getting those vouchers at the end for your estimated payments? So at the end, when you file your tax return and it shows you how much money that you owe, you'll get these vouchers for the next year. And these are your estimated quarterly payments that you pay in every 3 months to cover your next year's taxes. It's really important that you do this if you will be taxed above $1,000 because you will receive penalties and interest on your taxes that are above $1,000. So again, you have to budget and bookkeep and make sure you plan for taxes.
Is there an option just to pay it at one time in the year instead of doing quarterly? Will you still get penalized if you?
If you're a 1099, of all the research that I've done, it says that if your tax obligations are above $1,000, there's a chance that you will get penalties and fees. But I mean, I'm not a tax expert. I just know my way around Google and I can understand this stuff. But if you find contradicting information, let me know and we can work through it.
However, if you pay your quarterly a little bit late, they don't really do anything about it.
Right.
Because I've been 2 days late.
Right. All right. So you guys are all musicians. You're focused on practicing your scales, making your art, and communicating with audiences. I know this is like the last thing you want to think about. So, but it's important to keep these dates in mind. So this PowerPoint will be made available for everybody in PDF form, but these are the 2018 dates, and you can easily Google next year's dates. So I'm not going to read all the dates, but it's important just to know when things are due, or else you'll face the IRS. Sorry. Now, you can file for an extension, but the IRS still wants their money. So you're filing for an extension to file your tax return late, not to give them money late. So it's important, again, to make your quarterly tax payments. Now, if you're a Texas resident,
I'm sorry, I have a question about quarterlies. So I've been filing quarterlies for a while because I take direct checks from parents, and so so that was just assumed, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're getting a 1099, do you still have to pay quarterlies, or is that okay? But W-2s, you don't pay quarterlies.
No, the taxes are already withheld.
Yeah.
You're just reporting.
So anything where taxes are not withheld, we're expected to add that into some kind of into self-employed, so therefore quarterly payments.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that can all be taken care of for you if you sign up for QuickBooks Self-Employed, because there is a running number in the top right-hand corner in purple that tells you how much you're going to owe in taxes for that quarter, for the year. And you can just pay it through that. It's fantastic.
So does QuickBooks then give you a varied estimate every 3 months? Because what we've usually done is they send the vouchers based off of what you owed last year in taxes, and then
I believe it's up to
quarter it
date.
that way. So does QuickBooks do it that same way, or do they actually evaluate your growth as it goes and then have you pay estimated based on that growth?
I believe it's that.
Okay.
So, but check it out. It's awesome. So, luckily we live in Texas, and if you guys aren't a Texas resident and you plan to live and stay and work in Texas, I suggest that you become a resident as soon as possible, because it's an income tax-free state, and you're just being held liable to pay your federal income taxes. So these are the basic brackets that you could fall into for the federal income tax bracket for 2017. So if you make $20,000 or less, you're taxed on 10% of your income, and so on and so forth. So become a resident as soon as you can. So again, you guys are fantastic musicians, and you will be professionals in that industry, but don't be afraid to consult a professional. And I've had them ranked here in order of skill and education. So the CPA is sort of like the master accountant. They have a master's in accounting. They've passed 4 incredibly difficult exams, and they can represent you in front of the IRS if you made a mistake or if anything terrible happens. They can help you out. An enrolled agent is not a CPA. It could be an accountant or a tax preparer that is federally okayed to prepare your tax return and represent you. However, they don't have the same education and background as a CPA. An unenrolled agent is any Joe Schmo who passes a background test, who can prepare your taxes. So make sure you do your research and pick the right professional that's for you. So, Q&A buttons.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a cue.
I have an A.
At what point would you say it is, at what point would you say someone should probably not try to file the taxes on their own and go to a CPA? How complex do you think it needs to be?
Well, it depends
Or
on...
how much money?
Right. It's not really about the amount of money.
Okay.
It's the complexity of your income streams. So if you're just a W-2 employee, file it on your own.
Sure.
Like, no problem. If you have a 1099 W-2 and some investment income, that's where it kind of gets a little hairy. And as you keep on adding streams of income, if you sold your house, if you are part of a trust fund, there's just so many things that add into your tax return, and it just becomes overwhelming. I would suggest you go to a CPA because they will protect you and make sure, like they're on your side. They don't want you to pay in.
Okay.
And they can really, really help you plan for your financial future. So it's...
On that note, can you just, because I know I've struggled with this and I've figured it out now, but can you just speak to a little bit about what taxing students need to know? For instance, like what you paid into for student loans, you know, how scholarship is considered in taxes and things of that nature.
Right. I'm not a complete tax specialist, but you will receive in the mail, if you haven't already, I think it's a 10, or I'm forgetting the number, it's a form saying how much you paid into for tuition and your scholarships. Now, I have a client now who actually got a scholarship, and that was actually considered as taxable income.
Yeah.
And that will affect your taxes, because if you're not paying in anything for tuition, yet you still get the scholarship, that's income, and you will get taxed on it. So just really pay attention, follow the forms, follow the directions. There are directions everywhere. It's easy, but I can totally understand how it's completely overwhelming, but just like eat an elephant one bite at a time, just read the first direction and like continue on.
So some students have submitted questions ahead of time, so I just want to make sure we have time to go over those. This is from Brian. Brian, you're right. So what are some of the biggest financial mistakes that you see musicians make when they're starting out in their careers? And what are some financial pitfalls to watch out for as they begin to become more successful?
Sure. So can you repeat the first?
Yes, the
part?
biggest financial mistakes that you've seen musicians make when they're starting out.
Okay, so still living the student lifestyle, like living paycheck to paycheck, spending all your money going out to eat, and I know it's really easy to do that, but once you start earning that money, you have to start a savings account. You have to just start squirreling that money away and set a budget for yourself to know that this is the money I need to survive, this is my fun money, and then I'm saving most of my money for when times are lean. Remember, save for those emergencies. And the second part of the question?
What are some financial pitfalls to watch out as they begin to become more successful?
So as you become more successful, I've seen some musicians grow their credit and start opening up credit cards. Credit cards are great to grow your credit and maybe increase your credit score to get a house one day maybe, but don't live above your means and start charging, because you'll keep on building up that credit and digging yourself a hole that you can't get out of.
So I have another question from Evan Adams. Is Evan here? He submitted. What obstacles have you faced after a year of starting your business, and how did you overcome them? And alternatively, how did you change your primary goals to adapt to these challenges?
Well, first it started off as really slow. Like I had one client, and then it sort of exploded, and I got super, super busy. And then I had to actually turn clients away and start with better time management, because I also was a part of this other side business selling clarinets that sort of monopolized my time, and I just kind of had to grow in how I prioritize and plan. I mean, I also had to do a recital too in the midst of all of this, so I had to practice, which I really couldn't do while trying to do all of this. So really, I guess it was time management that I grew.
Other questions?
So when we're talking about quarterlies, how do you start that process? Like I just in January started a lot of new Clarinet students, but I don't really know how to just like begin that with taxes and all that.
Right. So again, sign up for QuickBooks Self-Employed, because it takes all of the guesswork out of it. Now, depending on how much you earn, if you owe less than $1,000 in taxes, you're not going to be penalized for starting late. And I'm not sure of your particular situation, but if you're making less than $20,000, I believe that's right, 10% of it. Yeah. So if you're making less than $20,000 a year, then you won't be penalized, and you'll just start filing your taxes, and then at that point you receive those vouchers, and then you can start that for the next year. So just ease into the process and get QuickBooks self-employed. It's so easy.
If you just want to start and you feel like you don't have the paperwork, you can also just find the vouchers online. You literally just type in vouchers and it's on the IRS website, because I've lost mine like 40 times. So I had to like go online, find them, and it even has the due date and like where you're supposed to send them and stuff. But if you're like starting in the middle, because I don't know if QuickBooks provides they'll provide the number. I don't know if they provide the actual.
Well, the voucher is what you
form.
can mail in, but you can also go into the IRS's website and just pay your taxes online. So the voucher is just an amount of money that you can mail in or send in. So, any more questions?
This is, I think in the marketing class when we were together, Kyle mentioned having a separate bank account for your business. I know when you have a separate bank account with QuickBooks, because QuickBooks, there's a lot going on it, and so it's scrolling through personal and business gets confusing when you have the same bank account. But when I opened a bank account, another bank account for my business, when Kyle suggested it, it makes going through QuickBooks a lot easier and a lot quicker, and so it's not as stressful.
Great point. Yep. You have to separate your personal and business expenses. Now, if you're just starting out, they'll all be the same. And at some point, you need to break away from that and open up a separate bank account that is just for your business. So I have 3 checking accounts. I have my business checking account. I have the checking account that I pay bills out of and write checks out of. And that feeds into my budgeting process where I know how much money needs to be in that account monthly. And then I have a debit card account, which is where I spend fun money on. So that's just my strategy. That's what works for me. But really, you have to know yourself, know your numbers, and start budgeting.
The process of creating a bank account for your business involves registering your business in Denton. And so that's something you want to keep in mind, because in order for you to open that bank account for your business, you have to have a business name of some sort. So if you're a sole proprietor, like many of you are probably going to start off, you have to just register that as a sole proprietorship and take that to the bank so you can open up a bank account. You can't just show up and say, I want to open a business account. You need to go through that step, which is simply an application you can do online. And just fill that out and go with that to the bank. But it's definitely a worthwhile, because even if from a mindset standpoint, it allows you to really see your business as a business and to start planning and budgeting according to what is really personal versus what is business related, and it makes everything easier. So even if you're a business of one and doing many different activities in the musical realm, it's totally worthwhile separating those activities into a separate account and linking that to your QuickBooks. And you can have a different account for your personal, expenses.
Yeah, true. All of that is true. And if the process of getting your business name entity and getting a business bank account is overwhelming right now, you can just get a separate personal bank account that you know that this is where all of your business expenses are coming out of right now as a sole proprietorship before doing all of the legal backwork. And Capital One online banking it's a free checking account. It's totally easy to set up. It's all online. So if you're looking to branch out and try to separate your income, your financial life from just having one account to having 2, I suggest Capital One. It's super easy.
I just have a thought to share and then a question for you. But I just wanted to let everyone know that there's also resources on campus in addition to everything Kyle said, that you can go set up an appointment with somebody and they will look at your finances with you, help you make a budget. If you have no idea how much to budget for groceries or going out to eat each month, go meet with somebody. The first thing they'll probably tell you to do is track yourself for a month just to see where you're at, and then they'll help you set goals and grow from there. So if it feels overwhelming, just partner up with somebody over in Chestnut Hall, I think.
Where is the resource?
At the Career Center in Chestnut Hall, or it's on the 3rd floor of Chestnut Hall. There's like a money place. I don't even remember what it's called.
Is it in the Career Center?
It's in that same building.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's Chestnut Hall. Does it have a name, some sort of a...
Yeah. I just don't remember it
Okay.
right now. Yeah.
But you can look it up probably, or
Yeah.
call the Career Center. They may
Yeah.
be able to guide you.
Exactly. And then my question for you, this is a specific question that you already helped me with and I just forget. So if you need to file a form about last year's taxes because you did something wrong, do you have to do it before this year's taxes, or, okay.
You can always file a correction.
Okay.
You can always. Any other questions?
Well, as an international student, so how would you think the open a credit card, like personal credit card, would help to stabilize or to manage the financial situation better?
I am not familiar with how international students would open up a credit card, because I know in the U.S. you need to have a social security number to run a credit check. But I'm sure there are places on campus that will help international students navigate that. I'm not an expert on that, but credit cards are a blessing and a curse. So if you have that that cash for an emergency, great. But I would talk to someone on campus who is more familiar with how to open up a credit card for an international student. Yes, Carson?
I just have a comment on that. But do you have a social security number or a tax ID?
I do not.
You do? Then you just have to, because my husband is international, and when we had to go through that opening our credit card when he came, if you have your social security number, they just need to be able to prove that you can legally work and you can legally have income. So as long as you have your social security card, you should be fine, even if it has the condition. But you also have like an address and supporting bills. If you just talk to a banker, they'll be able to tell you exactly what you need.
Right, and do I have to be employed somewhere?
No, he was not employed. So you don't have to be employed somewhere. They just need to know that you could conceivably work if you wanted to. Right?
Great.
Any other questions? Yes,
I was going to say, I don't know if you're too busy with clients, but what services do you offer if you wanted to?
So I just started this new job, which is great. So I just kind of need that to settle down. And as you know, tax season is here, and I'm kind of at my capacity right now. But I'm totally available for consultations right now. And then once April ends, I can start thinking about helping others continue right now. But as of right now, I'm kind of at capacity.
How much do you charge for consultations?
Consultations are free.
Can you talk a little bit about juggling multiple businesses, because you also have the Clarinet consultants business that you haven't talked about a little bit. You can pitch here to kind of share what that business is about. By the way, you started these two businesses within the last year while you were in school.
Right. It sort
So
of all
you can
happened.
talk about that a little bit.
It all happened very quickly. I came back after my first year as a master's student, having two businesses like almost ready to go, and then once I started, they were all functioning. So it's been very difficult to manage my time, and my personal practice has definitely suffered, but I've kind of regained that. Now I'm practicing and playing again. But yeah, it's been great.
What does the Clarinet consultants do?
Oh, Clarinet Consultant. They help clarinetists find the perfect clarinet for them, kind of being brand blind, to help just find the intrinsic qualities of a clarinet and match it to the clarinets, depending on their characteristics and needs and wants. And yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions before we wrap up? We have a brief announcement to make after Kyle's presentation. Matt is going to share with you an upcoming event that's coming up. But before we wrap up, are there any final questions? You all have Kyle's website through the email announcement we sent yesterday. So if you have anything else, you know how to get a hold of him, because he'll be out of UNT pretty soon. So yes.
One more question. Do you have helpers?
Wow.
That was my question on there.
No, I don't.
She asked the time management question. I just don't know how to do it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.